know who they are, but you've given them, time before to listen to and never really hit you. And then you get older and then it fucking connects with you.
Yeah, there's a lot.
And it's like, it could be an older band. It could be a band that's, more contemporary, but it's like, why is this hitting me now?
Yeah. Well, I was telling them guys, when grunge came out.
Yeah, he wasn't a fan.
I did not like grunge. Huh. When I was young, I didn't listen to it. I didn't have a single tape. I didn't have anything like, I like grunge.
Tape.
Like, because it was tapes.
It was tapes.
Yeah, back then. And
sets.
And then as I got older, I was like, wow, I really like this Alice in Chains shit.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm refining. Man, this Soundgarden, they really write a tune, don't they?
That was your heat moment. Like,
there's definitely.
It feels like the big four of grunge sound vastly different to me as bands on their own than the big four of like thrash metal.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about this last week, Jay, when we brought this up. What is known as Seattle sound? It's not Seattle sound. It's just rock, because those guys don't sound like each other.
They
were from the same location,
but that was it. Yeah. I mean,
Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains is more metal. Nirvana was more punk.
More pop, too.
Yeah, and they were different than one another.
Yeah.
Pearl Jam was just rock. Pearl Jam is like a rock band.
Pearl Jam
could have played Woodstock in the old days.
Pearl Jam used fucking wah pedals, and they had no problem doing funky stuff.
Yeah. Pearl Jam could have done a tour with Hendrix.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They weren't anything like each other.
Would you say Soundgarden or Alice in Chains were the heavier one of the...
I would say, no, the heaviest one... Alice in Chains
is probably the heaviest.
Alice in Chains got put on. They were always on tour with. They were always put on tour with Pantera.
But if you look at Soundgarden, a lot of their stuff is bluesy based too.
Yeah.
Zeppelin-esque. They used a lot of alternate tuning, tons of alternate tuning.
So you say the heaviest band of the four we're talking about was Alice in Chains.
As far as a straightforward hard band
riffs,
going out
distorted guitar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, it's absolutely what they were.
You could potentially put Soundgarden some of their shit.
Oh, sure.
You could put some of their shit. They could have done
they could have
done Bayou Sludge. They had a slow. They could do.
Yeah, there was a lot of different. That's the thing. They were always exploring, and that's kind of why for a while they really didn't get. They didn't once they brought out Bad Motorfinger, and they had a couple powerful songs, Rusty Cage, Outshine, then Black Hole Sun, and
which was such a fucking departure for them at that time.
Yeah,
because Spoon Man was the first single from that album, right?
Right, but I mean, if you really listen, because I mean, if you listen to. They were always exploring with shit, even their early stuff. Ultra Mega is a really good album, the first full-length album.
I guess my overall point about Seattle sound or grunge is it wasn't its own thing, kind of how hair metal was. Hair metal bands all kind of had that anthem-y sound and look.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
grunge didn't have that. Even though they were
more of an aesthetic.
Well,
they wore flannels. That was the only thing they all had in common.
You had New York hardcore. All those bands kind of sounded the same.
Yeah, I've talked about New York hardcore
but I mean, it all had kind of that same sound.
Yeah. New York hardcore. I never was a big fan of it.
Yeah,
because it's always got this it's all about us, nonconformity, and it was
but
the point of you guys sound too much the same though,
right? And
that's too much. It's like death metal, and I love death metal. I'm a big death metal guy. I just happen to like lots of different death metal, but the reality is death metal and they're all kind of doing each other's shit in a way.
Yeah,
grunge, to their credit. They weren't doing it wasn't
that was a made up thing. They didn't classify themselves as grunge. They didn't classify themselves as Seattle sound.
And there was a second tier of the grunge bands like Mudhoney and Tad that never got the credit.
No, and I mean that was those were guys. Those bands all supported each other and they all saw each other. I mean there was bands that didn't even make it out of it. I mean, there was guys from Pearl Jam that did Green River, then they did Mother Love Bone.
What happened to the grunge guys?
Mad Season was the other one, right?
Mad Season was kind of a development after. Yeah.
But could you imagine if they took Alice Cooper, Ted Nugent, Bob Seger, all these different Detroit, Iggy Pop, all these guys, and so like, they're all Detroit sound. They're the same.
Yeah,
none of those bands don't sound anything alike.
Right.
They're just from the same place.
Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah, Insane Clown Posse.
Well, that's
Kid Rock.
Like, that's what
Jack
I was kind
Black,
of.
the same
that's what I was kind of alluding to with like Seattle sound was so different, so varied.
Jack White. I'm sorry, like, I said Jack White because I'm gonna get burned for that. Jack White. Jack White.
Like that New York hardcore that they tried to promote for a minute, it was all they all had the same sound. They all had the same like that attitude. It's us against everybody type. That's what I'm saying. Like that Seattle sound, that was something that the music industry created. They were just guys that played in bands.
Yeah, I mean, they happened to be from Seattle.
It got so bad there. They were like, quit coming to our town. Quit moving to our town. Quit moving to our. Sean Kinney from fucking the drummer from Alice in Chains said it like when they were interviewing
Stop moving
him
here.
In the 90s on MTV. They're interviewing him and he goes, quit moving to our town, because people were just moving there like crazy.
They had a huge homeless problem.
Yeah, to be artists.
Still do. I was there 2 years ago and it was pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. Be an artist somewhere that's warm.
Yeah, they're like, just quit moving to our town. Like everybody thought if they went there, they were going to be rock stars. It's no.
So what happened to L.A. too? People go to L.A. and then they make a wrong turn and then they end up in porn.
It is funny that you guys talk about that though, because like the grunge thing was very geographical.
Yeah.
You also talk about the New York hardcore scene. But then if you think about like Mike said about like hair metal, those bands all flocked to LA, but they were all from different parts of the fucking country.
But but the thing with LA,
they're all dude. I guarantee you that 85% of the hair bands were from the Midwest.
Yeah, Midwest.
They're probably from here.
Cinderella, Poison, Bon Jovi. You know, I mean,
Axl Rose. He's
Guns
from Indiana.
Do you get just as annoyed as I do when people start lumping in Guns N' Roses with hair metal?
Yeah,
because they were just hard rock.
They were just a rock. Because look, Appetite for Destruction is